What is up, fans of Grapplers Talk? This is Dave coming at you with another episode each and every week. Thank you to all of the fans for downloading, supporting the podcast. And, I'm always getting messages. I love the messages I receive each and every week. I got a ton last week from our last guest, just telling me how much they enjoyed the show. They enjoyed the interview. And, I'm excited to bring you the best grappling content out there. And I'm always looking to expand territories and to talk to new people in different areas that maybe I haven't had a relationship with over the years. And I'm excited. This was a few months ago. I had received a message from somebody. And, I've been wanting to work on this interview ever since. But I received a message, and it was telling me about a gentleman out in the Red Bluff, Chico area. And they were saying that they drive 40 minutes past several gyms to attend this gentleman's academy. And, something stood out to me and really, touched my heart. And then they told me a deeper story. And I don't want to share too much. We'll get into all this a little bit later. But I'm excited. I'm thrilled to have Mr. Clint Lacy on the podcast this week. Thank you, brother, for being on. Welcome to the podcast, man. And I just want to start out. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And like I said, that message I had received, something stood out, and we had been in talks, and, obviously you were going through a little bit at the time. So I'm glad we were able to put this together, man. And I'm thrilled to get to chat with you. Clint, let's start out. Let's get into your story, man. How did you get started into jiu-jitsu? Who introduced you, and where did you go?
I got into it about 6 years ago. So I'd done boxing and striking kind of for a while. And I just got tired of getting punched and kicked and stuff. Well, anyway, I go into this grappling, jiu-jitsu class at Standalone. And first dude I roll with, like, man, I'm pretty athletic still. Like, I'm pretty strong. I still like compete or like strike and stuff. I got tired about 30 seconds and long 5 minute round. And so after that, I was like, man, I should probably get good at this because this was striking's a lie.
Yeah.
I can't hit if I'm on my back and he's mauling me to death. That's pretty much how I kind of got introduced to it. I didn't wrestle or anything like that, which would have helped.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's kind of pretty much how I got into it. I just wanted to get out of striking, find something to help keep me sober. I did have a bit of an alcohol problem,
Yeah.
um, so this definitely helps keep me sober. Can't fight people when you're drunk.
Right. Yeah, it's
Uh,
crazy how much jujitsu helps different aspects of your life, right?
oh, 100%. It definitely made me a nicer person. Just having confidence, being a kind of smaller individual as well. You think you're capable of doing all these things, and then you get that reality check, and you realize you can't do what you thought.
Yeah. Yeah. That first jujitsu session is always pretty humbling. There's so many people that think that, they're just going to be able to pick it up, and usually what it is it's the cardio. The first 30 seconds, the first minute, they realize, wow, this is a lot more intense than I thought.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you started, was there somebody that recruited you, or how did you find the gym, or did you seek it out yourself?
Um, so standalone had been in Chico for a few years. Um, and so I just went by there just to like I said, just to try to get out of striking and get into jujitsu because I did watch MMA and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I kind of just self curiosity, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually kind of surprising. A lot of people, it's intimidating to go into a gym by yourself for the first time.
It was a little different too because I mean it is a pretty big sized gym and like because you kind of don't really know what to expect. When I was at my boxing club, there was only like a handful of people there. It was just a little small building in the building that we practice in now. It wasn't this big kind of, like you said, intimidating thing. There's a cage around, like, everybody in there's
Yeah.
not somebody you want to get on the wrong side of.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you get into jujitsu, you start training. How long is it before you get introduced to the Rice brothers and start training with them?
So it was about a year in. So the school I started at was called Gorilla House, and my teacher's name was Kavika, and he was an old MMA fighter. And well, anyway, some stuff had happened. The gym closed, and so probably a month or so before that, the Red Bluff gym had opened, and I was going to my first competition. Well, anyway, my coach uh, didn't or couldn't go with me, so I had messaged Cameron through Instagram because we had just been messaging each other back and forth through jiu-jitsu, just
Yeah.
shooting a brief. And I was like, "Hey, bro, like my coach can't go. Can you coach me?" And he just said, "Sure." Didn't even ask me anything about it. I wasn't his student or anything. Just said, "Sure." Um, I ended up getting third and was a start training at Rice Bros ever since then.
Nice. Were you a white belt at the time?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
was
got
it the Jiu Jitsu World League?
okay. So you got introduced to him pretty early on in your journey, and the Rice brothers are well known for having great jujitsu and finding a home with those guys, man. That's pretty awesome, and you definitely will get better training experiences and different people, different looks, and high level training, right?
Oh, for sure. So when I first started training at Rice Bros at the Red Bluff gym, so we ended up taking a field trip up to go to Tanner's place. And I remember the one of the dudes I rolled with, his name's Austin. He's a brown belt now too. He put me in lasso. And I didn't even know what lasso was. He ended up beating the piss out of me the whole round. Um, so we ended up going back to practice. And I'm like, Cameron, he put me in this, he wrapped my arm up in the gi and I couldn't pull my arm out and I didn't know what to do. And just, yeah. So it was cool just seeing when you go up to like a high level gym, which I'm super lucky to have or to be a part of that. It's so different. Like to see people that have won worlds, pans, Europeans, nationals, just your biggest competitions you can win. And they're training just like everybody else, trying to get better.
Right. And the other thing is you don't want to be the best guy in the gym, right? You're not getting challenged if you're just tapping all these white belts and blue
Right.
belts all the time, If it really kind of hurts your training because you start falling into bad habits in a way. So challenging yourself and getting into a bigger room with world champions and a high level of teaching and jujitsu is huge, especially if you're from a smaller community or smaller town, right?
Oh, for sure. It's like world class training is 45 minutes away from me. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I feel like we're blessed being in California. You're another California boy like me, but we got some of the best jujitsu in the world within
Yep.
driving distance. We got
Yep.
Half Gracie in Berkeley and the Bay Area. We got Kurt Osiander. We got all these legends. We got the Gracie Academy in Torrance. Like it is a world class jujitsu scene in California.
Awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the best things about living here. I'll tell you that.
For
So,
sure. Yeah, you take a trip, you could literally go anywhere and you're gonna find some high level jujitsu up and down California.
right, no, from northern to southern. I mean, if you go to
Yeah.
SoCal, man, you got tons of gyms on every corner, man.
Well, if you ever come up here, bro, you should definitely check out my place. But head up to Tanner's. That gym's so nice, man. They
I
just
would,
got it. I think it's been open for like a year, something like
yeah,
that.
I would love to do that, brother. So let's talk about your place. How long was it before you opened up? Because my understanding is you opened up your academy as a purple belt, correct?
Yeah, I think what was I? I was like I've been a purple belt for like 2 years. give or take, something like that. And then so the city Corning hired me to teach jujitsu. So how I kind of got into that too. So when I was training at Red Bluff, um, everybody starts liking jujitsu more. Red Bluff's only 20 minutes away from Reading. So we would constantly kind of have to go through kind of gym rebuilds where we'd get our blues and our purples, and then they would either just move away or go train in Reading.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of got tired of it and then wanted to just kind of start my own thing in Corning just because I knew we have super good wrestling here and nobody's really going to leave to kind of go other places. So that's kind of was the whole reason of me starting it too.
Yeah. Something a little bit more stable, right?
Yeah, and just like I said, like I know I was gonna have super good wrestlers, so I don't really have to show a lot of takedowns. I can just show them pure jujitsu, and then they like wrestlers figure it out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the city hired me probably like a year and a half, something like that ago, and we started. And actually, we started in my garage before the city had even hired me because I would teach privates, and then people would come over just to roll and stuff. I had my garage was matted,
Yeah.
and so it was awesome. Just take your shoes off, just roll out there.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the city hired me, so we ended up starting in like the town hall. So I'd
Okay.
have to roll mats out every day, put them away, and then we ended up moving into the gym that we have now. Just needed some bigger space. It was an actual gym. Um, then we end up going to the high school just because we needed more space. Just a lot of my dudes are fairly large. And so, I mean, you put some fairly large people in a phone booth, drywall is going to get broken.
Yeah. I learned that real quick. I got some big
Uh,
boys too, man. And it only took one time for someone to fly into the wall in my garage before I put mats up.
yep.
Yeah, it got crazy.
Yeah. So like I said, we got a bunch of big people. I didn't want to kill the drywall. So we end up going to our high school. We got to use their wrestling room for a while. And when their wrestling season started, I wasn't gonna practice after all the nasty kids. I don't really like skin infections and ringworm and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we ended up going back to our place that we're at now, and we'll probably end up staying there till our rec center gets built. We're supposed to be getting a huge rec center.
Nice. And so being hired by the city, how exactly did you get connected with them? And did you have somebody working in the city that you had known, or how did that all tie into place?
Pretty much. So my mom knows the lady that hired me, and she knew that I had done jujitsu. She was trying to get me to do it for a couple years prior, but I just kind of didn't have the time help or when I was coaching in Red Bluff, and then just trying to train and get better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you got to know somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about connections you make, and jujitsu is one of the best way to bond people. You get people from all walks of life that come into the doors, and I mean, you could have doctors, you could have lawyers, you could have guys that don't have a job and that are on unemployment. And there's all kinds of different connections. You guys, there's construction workers and just a little bit of everything. And so, if you really harvest and really make those connections, the sky's the limit on where things can go in this scene.
Definitely. It's just from my just where I think I have roughly like 35 to 40 students now. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome. How long have you been open now?
Like a year and a half, give or take.
Okay, so still pretty fresh, roughly, right? But you're
Yeah.
doing good, man. And I seen that one of your posts from a while back. I saw that you were honored. Your first blue belt was actually your son, right?
Yeah. So he's a little monster. It's crazy, man. I always said I can't wait for the day to when he's able to like beat me up. And then it happened and I'm like, man, I probably could have waited a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wrestling helped him a lot. Just his stand-up's a lot better than mine and he doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
Kids just push the pace. I'm like, when are
Yep.
we gonna slow down? And then they're hard to choke too. Even when I lock him up in a darce or something, he'll try to go see the shadow realm before he wants to tap to me.
Yes, yes. Those younger gentlemen, they definitely full of what's that old saying? Piss and vinegar, right?
Tell me about it. Yeah, I can't. I mean, he's only 17 too. I thought I'd at least make it till 20.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I remember when I first started jujitsu, I was about 16 or so, and my dad, he was really pushing me towards it. Hey, son, you got to go to practice. You know, I'm like, all right, cool. So then I go home and I'm like, all right, Dad, I want to show you some stuff I learned. And my dad's a minister. He's a pastor of a church. And I mean,
Okay.
he's a really great guy. But I accidentally popped him with an elbow and he had to go up and give his sermon on Sunday with a big old black eye and explain to his congregation that my son's training jujitsu and popped me in the face.
You got the better of me.
Right. But that's exciting, man. Having your son training alongside you, man, that's what it's all about. And I'm sure, you know, every father dreams of that experience and, you know, being side by side, you know, and your son giving you a big challenge. That's what it's about, man. And it kind of shows you that they're gonna be okay later on, right? You don't have to worry about them defending themselves.
Because I probably only got he's starting to do freestyle. So I probably got like 20, 30 pounds on him still, but I mean, he's catching up. Like, I'm not much bigger than him. Like, the only thing that's my saving grace is I'm just kind of significantly stronger still.
Yeah. That man strength, right?
Yeah. So his little brother, is he'll end up probably being, well, the best one out of us till they have kids, but he's a fairly large kid. Like,
Yeah.
we can damn near wear the same size shoe. We have the same size. Yeah, he's 12. And so I
Yeah.
think he started when he was 6. So he's one of my yellow belts.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. You got both sons in there, man. And you know, you're definitely investing into future generations with that, you know, that your sons are going to pour into future, you know, other students and their sons and who knows where this thing's going to go after me and you are both gone, you know.
That was the legacy thing. I get to kind of leave it for them. I'm hoping they don't ever have to work 9 to 5s. My older one wants to be an electrician, and then my younger one wants to be a teacher, like a
Yeah.
school teacher.
Yeah. Being a teacher is a great path with being in jujitsu, right? There's so many different things a teacher could help kids with in school, just because they have that knowledge of training, right?
Well, they're both way better students than I was.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, my older one's getting ready to graduate, and then my younger one just loves school. He loves reading books. He's super smart.
Yeah.
He taught me to do algebra in like 15 minutes. Spent 3 years of high school, couldn't understand it, but my 12-year-old could teach it to me.
It's funny you said algebra, man. I took algebra all 4 years of high school. All 4 years. I don't think I ever passed it.
So I passed with a D minus.
Yeah.
So and then I didn't have to take math anymore. So I passed it with a 60.3.
Yeah.
So I was hung on by a thread.
Now let me ask you this, right? How many times have you used algebra since then?
That's bro, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
What the hell, right?
I've only ever done addition and subtraction, and occasionally we'll throw a multiplication in there.
Right. But let's talk. So a while back, you were in an accident, and let's talk about that a little bit and kind of what you experienced, how it went down. I know that the recovery was a little bit of something you had to deal with. So let's talk about the accident.
So like I was picking up my older son from his visit with his mom, and we were driving home. The road, I guess, like there's a lot of accidents on the road, but you kind of never really think it's going to happen to you. So we're driving home, and there was a car kind of up ahead of us. We're kind of swerving, and so luckily I end up putting my seatbelt on because I never wear my fucking seatbelt. Um, so at the point kind of where we started to get to the accident, the dude pulled over on the side of the road and just flipped a U-turn on the highway. So the car in oncoming traffic swerved into our lane. We swerved to kind of go into the orchard on our side of the road, but we just got into a head-on collision. So I
Wow.
think we were probably going 65 or 70. Roughly.
Yeah, man, that's scary, man. And that's something that you're definitely lucky and blessed to walk away from. Talk about like some of the stuff you had to do for recovery. What kind of injuries did you sustain during the accident, and what'd you have to do to recover?
So being since the car was so small that we were in, my legs and my feet kind of took the brunt of it, and then my airbag didn't go off, so I hit the dashboard. So I end up I had a fractured orbital bone. I had almost had a detached retina. I had a puncture hole in my cornea. I had bruised ribs, bruised lung. Um, I had 3 fractures in my left ankle. I fractured my tibia.
Mm.
I broke my some 2 bones in my feet. I dislocated my pinky toe. I broke the toe next to it. I think that's it.
Sound like you were in a UFC fight, a championship fight.
Yeah, if that's I fought John Jones, what happened?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, man. So at least we know fighting John Jones is like getting in a 70 mile per
Getting into
hour
a car accident. Yep.
man. And so how long ago was this accident?
August 18th.
August. So you're not even a year out from all those injuries. How's the recovery process going? How long before you were able to get kind of rolling around on the mats? Obviously, it's going to take a little while before you're 100%, but at least back to moving around and helping your students.
So when did I start rolling? I was in a wheelchair for probably like 3 months. Just
Wow.
because like I couldn't walk. Well, just my right foot was broken and then my left leg was broken. So there's no, or fractured, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, but none now. I just like my feet are kind of fucked up. If somebody puts like even just kind of like locks up like a heel hook on me, like I like there's no play in it. Like
Yeah.
I'm so yeah. The recovery process is still kind of happening. My PT told me that it could take a year for my feet to kind of go back to how they were. Um, so I roll with wrestling shoes on, which kind of helps. But if somebody like hits my feet or anything like that, it's just yeah, it's kind of rough.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of like nerves and stuff like that in your feet. And is there any like sort of permanent damage that you're not going to recover from or anything like that, or the doctors were worried about?
So my eye, this eye, the one that got all jacked up. So my retina's a lot bigger than this one. So I see floaters and like kind of like those black lines and shit in this eye. I'm kind of light sensitive a lot more now.
Okay.
Um, it feels like I kind of have like turf toe in both of like my feet. But I think other than that, I'm pretty much fine. I'm
Yeah.
hoping my my feet go back to how they were. My right foot looks like a raptor claw. My right my right toe's the only toe that touches the floor. All my other ones are lifted off the ground.
Wow. Does that affect your like gait when you're walking or anything like that?
Yeah, I walk with a kind of a limp now.
Yeah. And
So,
we were talking earlier before the show, you said your son came out unscathed for the most part, right?
yeah, so he ended up getting like I think he got 5 staples in his knee just from when the dash um cut his knee, and then a sprained ankle.
Yeah. Wow, man. And we were talking, going through something like that really changes your perspective on life, on everything in general, man. You're like just so blessed to be on the mats, right? You don't care about everything else, but Talk about some of the perspective changes and how that's helped you out and looking at things a little bit different.
So I knew, like I said, like I was never really kind of like a religious person. Like I believed in God and everything like that, but now like I actually like listen to the Bible and I pray. Um, I'm just super thankful for just being here, for him saving me and him.
Yeah.
Just um my even watching my kids grow up, like my younger son, I couldn't imagine like being like, yeah, I'm just super glad I'm here, man.
Yeah.
Um I'm a lot nicer to people. Just I try not to take um everything so harshly, I guess.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Uh yeah. Yeah, man. I just try, like I said, I just try to not freak out at a whole bunch of shit that doesn't matter anymore.
Right. You learn to let a lot of things go, right? That may have worked you up before or may have pissed you off where you're flipping people off on the road or whatever, now you're like, it's a little bit different.
It was that was definitely kind of scary at first too when I uh because my dad had to take me to most of my doctor's appointments, and my mom did too. And so did my old lady. Um, but just sitting in like the passenger seat and just seeing cars kind of fly by, like it took me a second to
A little
not get like
PTSD, right?
a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's gone now. So
Yeah, I've heard of things like that. Like, people get in severe accidents, and it takes a while before they're comfortable driving, before they're comfortable even being in a car, right?
it was the whole like people just kind of pulling out, like like when they're making like a left turn, or if they have to just like kind of pass in front of you and shit. It's just like, bro, can you couldn't wait an extra 10 seconds, my guy?
Yeah,
Like, did you
yeah.
really have to just make it that, like, yeah, yeah.
It's sometimes a lot of people just don't consider others on the road, and you see it all the time. We're in California, so we got some of the worst fucking traffic in the nation. So you see it everywhere. If you drive through Sacramento, man, it's constant, man. People are
Yeah.
driving like animals.
Well, they're doing 80 miles an hour, and they just cut people off, and it's like, bro, you can kill somebody. Like, this
Yeah,
isn't a it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. What was it like waking up, not really knowing what happened, and you're in a hospital room and kind of like, what the fuck, man? Like, what was the initial thought like that went through your mind going through that?
Well, I guess I had been freaking out for a while before, like I had gained kind of like reconsciousness. So the one thing I do remember from being in the hospital is I woke up, and dude was trying to put my pinky toe back into place because my pinky toe kept dislocating. And I remember waking up and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's
Yeah.
all, I'm trying to put your pinky toe back in. And I said, okay. And I just went back to sleep, I guess. Well, anyway, so I guess I wouldn't let anybody touch me till my old lady got there too. So I was
Wow.
probably back there trying to wrist lock people. Yeah, I play that game for sure.
Oh yeah.
So then she's like, hey, like she's like, they're just trying to help you. So then I actually like let people like put my IV in, check me, blah 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 blah, all this other shit. Well, anyway, I guess I would come back out, go back in, and she would tell me like some different answer every now and again. Like, what happened to me? She's like, you tried to fight an elephant. And I'd fall back asleep and I'd wake back up, and she's like, what happened? And she just make up some shit. And then like I actually remember waking up and like being like, what the fuck? Because
Yeah. Heavily
I
medicated, I'm sure, right?
oh yeah, they asked me if I was in pain. I didn't feel much.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, because I was already bruised up. My eye was swollen fucking shut. I had shit all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but they're all you were in a car accident. I was like, oh, okay. Well, fuck,
Yeah.
bro. So this is the other thing too, is I had the hugest bruise, like from, I don't know, basically from like the bottom of like my right pec all the way down to like my mid thigh.
Wow.
And oh, bro, so like below my waist was like fucking black, was how bruised it was. Well,
Wow.
anyway, yeah, no shit, right? Well, anyway, I was like, my fucking dick was so, like bruised and it was black, but the thing didn't get any bigger. It pissed me off,
Oh, I've never heard of a bruised dick. That's pretty
bro.
interesting. I didn't
Yeah,
know you
tell
could
me
do
about it.
that.
I didn't think it could happen either, but yeah,
Man, that's rough, dude. Like,
I'm pretty sure it was from the seatbelt. The
yeah,
seatbelt fucking cut the shit out of me.
yeah, but also saved your life at the same time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I'd take a bruised dick any day of the week over losing my life. That's it.
Pretty for sure, yeah, because right where we crashed at, there was one of those rail guards and shit. So I'm pretty sure I would have smacked that fucking thing.
Yeah. Man, and the biggest thing you hear about car accidents and is if people aren't in seatbelts, usually they're ejected from the vehicle, and that's obviously the
Yep.
worst case scenario, so God definitely had his hand on you during that experience and your son, man. And obviously, you're a blessed man, and you recognize that. So I'm glad you're here, brother. I'm glad we're talking today. You look healthy, you look happy. You're not letting this get you down. So a lot of people, they can fall into a deep depression and not being their normal self. And it's really easy to fall into bad ways and bad paths going through something like that, right?
I think that, yeah, for sure that's true. I think jujitsu like helped me a lot. Just I have to get back to the max. Like I have to get back to like my students and training and like pushing forward because like nobody gives a shit. Like if you're hurt, you just can get better and go on about your business and shit. But yeah, I'm not trying to be like a sob story, none of that shit, dude. Trying to be
Yeah.
like one of the fucking cool ass comebacks.
Right. That's what it's about, man. Man, I think about Frank Mir, years ago, he wrecked a motorcycle, broke his femur while he was like the heavyweight champion. And I'm pretty sure he had to vacate the belt, almost lost his life. But man, he came back and had a ton more fights. He beat Brock Lesnar. He went on a
Right.
great run. He broke several people's arms after that. And
It's
you
so
know,
funny you bring him up too, because I remember watching that Frank Mir fight when he beat Brock Lesnar when he leg locked him. And
yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Well, he didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Frank
Oh man.
Frank's a savage, man. He's always been a big I love his jiu-jitsu and MMA, man. I think it's probably the best jiu-jitsu, at least for his time period, the best jiu-jitsu that was in MMA. Because he broke
For
several
sure.
people's arms.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that he's such a big, scary looking dude too.
Yeah. Shout out to Frank Mir too. He just had a pretty serious I believe back or neck surgery. Real serious. He had to have his whole like spine fused together. So wish him the best in recovery.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Being an instructor, right? And having your gym and obviously, going through something like that. So obviously the worst case scenario. So how did you keep that going? And I know we were talking a little bit before the show, but how are you able to keep your students around and keep everyone being trained and before you could actually get back in there?
So one of my blue belts is he was a D1 wrestler. He went to West Virginia, 3-time NCAA qualifier, stud, right?
Yeah.
So him and then one of my other blue belts, his name's Travis. So he was a super fucking good wrestler when he was in high school too. I forget what he placed. He placed at state. So I don't know what place he got though. Well, anyway, obviously super good wrestler too. So they just showed a bunch of kind of no-gi takedowns, and then I would sit there in my wheelchair and yell at them and shit and tell them what they're doing and not doing.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember the message I got. They said, you would still go and coach your students in competition and stuff like that on crutches and wheelchairs and everything like that, right?
Hey, they're my students.
Yeah.
Love them little monsters.
But that's a committed coach, man. That just shows like how much you care, and you're going through some of the biggest struggles of your life, but you're still there for each and every one of your students, man. That's really shows your character and shows what kind of instructor you are.
It's the coolest thing in the world, man. Yeah, so it was funny story. So I ended up having to have foot surgery on my raptor claw foot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, um, the Nava brothers had a super fight the day after my foot surgery. So I went down there for Arte Suave too. Shout out Arte Suave.
Yeah.
Uh, so I ended up having to go down there and then coach them after the day after my foot surgery. But man, I tell you what, that ride home when my nerve block wore off, I thought somebody smashed my foot with a hammer.
Oh
I don't know if you've
yeah.
ever had foot surgery. Well, you haven't had foot surgery.
No.
Hopefully you don't ever fucking have to, bro, because that shit sucked.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can only imagine though. Like, I mean, you see all those MMA guys, they're kicking bags and it beats your shins, it beats your legs up. But like, I even have a bruise on one of my shins right now, and I mean, my whole leg is sore from it because there's so many fucking nerves, man. So
My buddy Greg, I used to train with and coach with up in Red Bluff all the time. So when he would play shin to shin, he would just fucking kick you. Oh yeah, so I got a lot of shin conditioning from my buddy Greg. So
shout out to Greg, man.
yeah, Greg.
And you've done some competitions. I was checking out. You've done some Arte Suave matches and stuff like that. Obviously, we're probably going to take a little bit of time off from big competitions, at least right now, right?
So my goal before, like when I first started coming back, was I was gonna try to do ADCC. For was it in San Jose? I think it's on the 22nd or something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, man, like I said, like I can't even have somebody grab my foot, let alone some badass dude trying to like rip my shit off. So yeah, it's probably gonna be a second. But
Yeah.
I am gonna come back at some point. It's just a matter of me getting into good shape and then not having like my foot like feel like shit.
Right. When you were doing a lot of competition and some matches and stuff, what was your training like going into it? Do you step it up a little bit, or how do you prep, as especially as an instructor, right? You can get good rounds in with some guys, but obviously you want the best rolls in the room to challenge yourself and to get into shape for these matches. What was your training like going into a competition?
Oh, so Greg would just Shark Tank me,
Yeah.
and that shit was ass. Yeah. So ended up getting to a point where like I'd get so tired, and then we would do speed drills after it. He'd be having to help me up. Like Greg was awesome. Helping me train to get ready for like a bunch of my super fights and shit. Um, and then like I would go up to Reading and then just get the shit kicked out of me up there by all those monsters. So
Yeah.
yeah. I got good training, and even just being just an instructor with like my white and my blue belts.
Yeah.
Even my blue belts are monsters though, man. They're all fucking old wrestlers that wrestled their whole life.
Yeah. Those wrestlers, man, it's such a good transition into jujitsu, because if they're humble, right? If they just embrace the jujitsu a little bit, they're monsters, and they know grappling, they know the fundamentals of movement and how they should be moving. And so when you get a wrestler that embraces the jujitsu, it's a scary thing in this game, man. You don't want those wrestlers being high level jujitsu guys, because then you're fucked.
It's definitely not an easy fucking role anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you said, you mentioned a little bit ago that you guys are having a new gym coming. Is that correct?
We're supposed to be getting a rec center built, and it's supposed to be pretty fucking big. Um, the city got a how much they got like an $8 million grant,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we should be having like it's gonna have like a basketball court, um, There's like this water kind of fountain thing out front, water sprayers and shit. They're
Wow.
gonna have a huge fucking mat room.
Yeah, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
so-
And the cool thing about that is it's kind of funded by the city, right?
Yep. So that's the cool thing is like I don't have to pay fucking rent or insurance or any of that shit.
Yeah, that's
Cool,
the
man.
best part, right? I mean, that's like a dream situation, the city having something like that. And shout out to the city for giving their community a place to train jujitsu. Like, it's not very common. YMCA's are closing, or they're ran to shit, at least in our town. And they're not really offering anything, maybe a basketball program here and there, or maybe a flag football thing. But it's very rare to have a city get a part of the jiu-jitsu scene, at least in my experience. So that's really cool that you're a part of that.
Right? Super fucking rare. How many hey, fucking dogs. Yeah, how many people got hired by the city to teach jujitsu?
Yeah, I don't know any, except that's the first time I've heard of it. That's pretty cool.
It's cool yeah, I'm the only reoccurring program that the city has.
Wow.
So, right.
That's good. And it's good for, communities need that. Like, there's not enough of it. And especially like we're from Stockton here, and Stockton's a rough community. There's a lot of people. I saw something online yesterday where there's a shootout in the grocery store parking lot, and
Good.
shit like that happens on a regular basis. You could be going to Walmart with your family, and next thing you know, there's a gang fight and people are getting killed left and right, and it's very, very common. But I wonder how many more people would be in a different situation if more communities were offering jujitsu and martial arts. Not just jujitsu. I mean, karate's good. There's different aspects to martial arts that really get people to a center in life, right?
Definitely, man. Like it seems like just kind of a lot of the things that we did have kind of just kind of disappearing over time. We did have boxing here for a minute. It went away though. But yeah, like well, that's kind of what another reason why I wanted to do this here, because we don't have anything like that here.
Yeah. And
Everybody's
yeah, it's a good path, man. Like, I'm very happy that something like this is going on, and I want more of this in the community. So if you're out there, go hit up your local politicians, go to the city hall, right, and push this kind of stuff, because this is going to change people's lives. I tell people all the time. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and I looked at him. I was like, "Hey, man, you got to try it out. It'll change your life." And he looked at me like, "Man, you're really serious about this jujitsu stuff, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro. Like, if you knew where I was before I got real deep into jujitsu, like, who knows where I'd be today, right?"
I would probably be dead.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, most jujitsu guys are like us, right? They're trying to find something, and most of us struggle with mental health and different things in life, anger problems, and whatever it is. And this gives us a pathway for channeling that, right?
It's the best, man. Like everybody that's come to my class, they just lose weight. If they come in for weight loss problems, you melt away.
Oh yeah.
I got a dude to come because I told him, I'm like, bro, you want to lose 30 pounds? I got you.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, I got you. I think he's already lost 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, right? You can't avoid it.
Nope. What? One of my white belts that's competing soon, he's lost 50 pounds. Started at 230, now he's down to 185.
Wow.
I think Dustin's lost like 30 pounds. I think Travis has lost about 40 pounds.
Yeah. That's great, man. Like, jujitsu it's for everybody, like I whatever walk of life you are, whatever you're looking for in life, there's something in jujitsu that'll help you. Like, if you're looking to lose weight, it'll help you. If you're looking to have mental clarity, it'll help you. Like
thing,
it doesn't matter.
being the whole claustrophobic thing. I kind of got
Yes.
over a little claustrophobic. It's hard when people mounted on top of you.
Yeah. Oh, I was the same way, man. You get over that pretty quick in in training, right?
I tell you what, I'm not a very big fan of this whole mother's milk thing.
My cousin is a correctional officer, and they do a little basic jujitsu thing, and he's telling me, "Hey, I started doing this jujitsu." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like what kind of stuff you working on?" He's like, "Oh, my favorite move's the mother's milk." I'm like, "Oh my lord."
He likes to smother people.
Yeah. But I guess if you're working in a jail or a prison or whatever, that might actually be the best thing for you.
No doubt, just a smother.
Yeah. So nothing makes people panic more than not being able to breathe, right?
Right? Hey, I've been known to throw on a muffle every now and again.
I did for years, man. I did the sauna, right? I'd open up the gi and just cover up their face. Oh yeah.
Man, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do that one now because I get sweaty when I wear that jacket.
Yeah, I like to call it the sauna. They get in there and they start to panic, and then all of a sudden arms start coming free, and everything starts opening up. So,
It's so funny.
but
I used to get in the panic.
yeah, the panic, you could feel the panic on people when you're rolling, right?
Oh, for sure. That
Yeah.
oh shit going off.
Yep. So we like to have fun on this show. We like to play a little game. I'm sure you've heard of it. We like to say overrated or underappreciated. And we like to throw out some grapplers, some UFC fighters, if you follow the famous grappling scene. And then we just like to have fun. You don't have to explain your answer. If you want, you can. It's kind of up to you. You want to play the game?
Sounds good.
All right. You said you're a UFC fan, right?
I'll watch it.
Okay. I'll throw out some older generation guys, and then we'll throw out some newer talent. But okay, let's go overrated or underappreciated. Let's go Ken Shamrock.
Oof. Underappreciated.
Underappreciated. Okay. You want to explain?
Man, that's like one of the leg locking goats. I remember watching like the WWE and watching him like do this fucking toe hold and shit, and I didn't
Yeah.
even know what it was yet. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, that's so gangster that they actually did like straight up like legit submissions.
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, dude, he was showing jujitsu in WWE for a lot of years. It wasn't just the toe hold. He had locks he would do and little things. He'd set up guillotines on people. Like,
Yeah, he kind of got a kind of shittier rap towards kind of the end when he was fighting Tito when he was like 40 some years old and it was a little punch drunk a little bit.
yeah, that whole Tito thing. I wonder how much that took off of his career, chasing that fight with Tito and chasing that rematch with Tito and the Ultimate Fighter drama. And I mean, it probably boosted him a little bit, but I can't help to think that that probably wasn't the fight for Ken.
Right.
Yeah. Another one, I've been a big fan of this guy. This guy actually got me really motivated into jiu-jitsu in the early days. Ultimate Fighter season 1 winner, Forrest Griffin.
Oh man, I love that. Him and that Stephen Bonner fight's one of the best fights ever. Man,
Yeah.
I can't say overrated. So yeah, I'd say underappreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you're pioneer. Yeah, Forrest was the fucking shit.
Yeah, and he still is the shit, man. He's still in good shape, running the UFC Performance PI Center or whatever it is.
Is that what he does now?
Yeah, he's like the head guy there. So gets all the athletes set up with their training sessions, and he's kind of like the main guy that runs that place. So
How you gonna call him fucking overrated and he's doing shit like that?
what about Diego Sanchez, another season 1 winner of the Ultimate Fighter?
Overrated.
Yeah, you want to explain that one?
He didn't have no hands, bro. Like, bro, Josh Koscheck fucked his ass up. Like, um, he's a super fucking cool dude. Like, I'd probably want to do some ayahuasca and shit with him.
Yeah, he a little strange, right? All that
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
with his manager.
I was gonna say that fucking trainer that got a hold of him. I
Yeah,
don't know.
fucked
Yeah,
him up, right?
yeah. It just kind of led him down the wrong path, doing some weird ass shit. Yeah,
I
man.
I've been hearing a lot lately. I this isn't overrated or underappreciated, but I've been hearing a lot lately. Have you seen the drama going on with BJ Penn?
I have not.
So, I seen he posted on his Instagram maybe a week ago, and he's claiming that there's a lady in being an imposter of his mom, and it's a real strange. I encourage everyone go on BJ's Instagram or look on YouTube. There's tons of videos, but people are concerned in the community about CTE, about what's going on, because he's like filming this lady in his house, and he's like, "This isn't my mother. She's trying to take all of my money. She's trying to kick me out of my house." As he's like going on walks with this lady, and she's in the kitchen, like he's filming her saying like, "This isn't my mother." What's your
That's
take
pretty.
on that? Like, do you think that maybe like BJ's playing everybody, or do you think that possibly like some CTE? He's had a ton of fights, man. He's had a ton of wars. He's always been known for having a great chin, but we can't help but think, even with the great chin, you're still taking those punches. Do you think that possibly like, that may be CTE induced, or do you think that like possibly he's just going crazy?
I think a little bit to be that CTE shit, man. Like I played football my whole life and ran and hit people with my face, so I've had a lot of concussions and shit too. And then that, I mean, look at all the old football players just kind of went off their fucking rocker and shit. So, I mean, getting kicked in the face and punched in the face for your whole life necessarily isn't the best thing to do for your brain. And then, like, he probably, he'd be fucking with them pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. BJ, I mean, I'm pretty sure he had a history of drug use from years ago. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to put your finger on it, but that's kind of what I would lean more towards is the CTE thing, like
yeah.
being
It's just
a concussion guy.
I've heard so somebody explained it like this. I was watching a YouTube video and somebody explained it like this. NFL's been around for how many years, right? A long time. Sports and boxing's been around forever. Okay. And we know those sports are definitely going to cause some brain damage, some CTE issues. UFC and MMA, I mean, we're talking what, late 80s, early 90s at the most.
There's not enough
So
study.
not enough study, not enough time has been around. So like as we're seeing these old school guys, BJ Penns and the old school guys, it's starting to become a reality, and it's something that we can't just turn our turn a blind eye to. We gotta actually address it at some point. Like this is fucking people up.
Do you think Tito Ortiz got CTE
I don't see how a lot of those guys that fought back then don't have it. Um,
from from the practices and shit, from getting knocked the fuck out, getting back up
yeah, look at
again?
Chuck Liddell, man. Chuck Liddell, one of the best strikers on planet Earth at the time, light heavyweight champion, one of my favorite fighters of all time. You look at him now, you hear him talk, and I mean, goddamn, you can't understand a word he's saying.
Did you see him at that fucking pay-per-view the other day? He
Yes.
couldn't talk because he's so geetered out of his mind.
Yeah. But I mean, he's probably self-medicating too. I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard he's even done stem cells to try to combat that kind of stuff. So, man, it's rough. A lot of those old school guys, I think, with the exceptions of the Randy Coutures, that didn't take much punishment, that were wrestlers and kind of, not that many knockouts. Those guys are probably a little bit different, but
Well, that would
the
have been my question is BJ the only one that's going off the fucking deep end?
nah, man, there's even a class action, there was a class action thing with the UFC to where guys like Kung Lee and old school guys like Frank Shamrock were involved, and that's what they're claiming is there's lasting effects, and we don't have anything to do. We don't have insurance to take care of these things, so it's kind of a rough thing. The life of a fighter is not easy in any means, right?
Well, I mean, dude, the NFL, look at the NFL. They try to cover that shit up for days. They try to kill that fucking doctor that made
Right.
the movie about.
Yes. Yeah, and now it's something like, I mean, it's so prominent in the game, right? You look at plays, right? And if somebody takes a rough hit, they'll stop the play and take that person out of the game now. That's how serious they take that kind of procedure. So, I mean, do you see something changing with the UFC down the road or anything like that may try to prevent as much CTE, or what do you think can kind of help that, if anything?
I don't know. I think it's just kind of the part of the game that you play, man. You can't really take it out. Like, it's just like the NFL. I mean, the dudes are only going to get bigger, faster, stronger, hit harder. Like,
Right.
unless you're going to like take their helmets off and their shoulder pads and then turn it into rugby.
Yeah.
Fighting, I mean, you're going to get kicked and punched in the face. It's just,
Yeah.
there's no going around it. And I mean, if your brain fucking moves so many times, that's never a good thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, it's so hard to avoid it. I think it's not near as bad as boxing because you don't see. I don't think MMA's had anybody die, have they?
Not, at least not in the States. Maybe in Russia or something like that. I've heard some reports and stuff like that, but it's kind of controversial. They may have taken some damage in a fight and it happens in the hospital later on, or they get into an induced coma and then they may
Yeah.
not make it out of that.
Well, I mean, you hear that shit in boxing probably every two or 3 years. Somebody just kind of they fight somebody they shouldn't have fucking fought, and yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's just kind of what you sign up for. You kind of know the pros and cons of it. Try not to
That's,
get hit.
yeah. But
Pull that shit.
you even think about it, man. Hickson Gracie, he has Parkinson's disease. And obviously the best Gracie of all time, in my opinion at least. And you see guys like Freddie Roach, he has Parkinson's disease, and a lot of his is from damage in fights. Hickson was
Right.
fighting. I mean, they claim Hickson has like 400 wins and no losses, right? He's had to have been in some wars in those years and in those fights.
Well, he had fought. Was it the Schultz dude?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
one of the Schultz brothers.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a fucking hell of a fucking scrap.
He fought all those big Japanese guys back in the day too. All those big, huge Japanese stars. He was fighting those guys in the early 90s, going to war with them. And, I know Hickson's great, and Hickson finished a lot of those guys, and his jiu-jitsu, took care of it, but he had to have taken some sort of punishment, at least training for those fights.
All the fucking dojo storms.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You hear that famous story of that Japanese guy going into his gym. They lock the doors. They say, "Hey, sign the waiver," and next thing you know, a big war is going out. So,
And it's bad. Yeah, like, bro, he didn't. There's no way he just like even all the dojo storms. There's no way they just walked through everyone. There had
no
to have
way.
been stuff to put up a fucking fight.
Yeah, at least a big dude somewhere that got a couple good shots in somewhere. But yeah, it's just rough. I hate seeing fighters go through that kind of stuff. CTE is not a fun thing. Any of the after effects from fighting, it's definitely it's sad to see your heroes, your idols, your guys you admired go through that kind of stuff.
Right. Just
Yeah.
save a
Yeah.
and then now for sure, man.
Overrated or underappreciated, Ty Rotolo.
was underappreciated. I can't call the kid fucking overrated. He's gonna be like, he's like, that's jiu-jitsu's prodigy MMA fighter now.
Well, Cade is a little bit better, right? Ty has gone through some injuries. You know, Cade, I feel like Cade's probably the superstar of the brothers, but Ty, you know, he's definitely he's had a little bit rougher of a run through some of his matches and, you know, some of his injuries along the way.
Shit, he should have Darce Marigali. He just somehow got the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Both of those brothers are incredible, dude. Like,
Right?
having a twin brother in jiu-jitsu is like the answer right there. You know, a twin brother that can give you the exact same look. That's really like a secret trick, right?
There's a couple families from Reading, and there's a couple brothers, and dude, they're such savages, man. They're such
Yeah.
savages. You'll end up hearing about one of the kids. His name's Marcos Alvarado. You'll hear about him. He won purple double gold. He double gold at purple.
Nice. Yeah. That's these kids
Double gold.
nowadays.
Yeah, bro, he's like 250 pounds. He's huge.
Yeah. It's incredible, man. Like how good these guys are getting at jujitsu, right? Like, I mean, people that are just getting into it, man, they get good really quick. And, you know, the amount of information available to everybody right now is incredible. You could buy you know, instructionals. You could go on YouTube. You got Instagram. You got your home academy, right? You can cross train and nowadays to get good at jujitsu, I mean, if you want to, it's available for you.
Yep, you just got to you get out what you put in.
Yep, exactly, man.
Fucking math don't lie.
The algebra doesn't lie, right? Yeah, jujitsu to the squared power, you know, times 1500. You know,
the fucking math isn't mathing.
But yeah, man, it's interesting, dude. There's so many avenues to get your jiu-jitsu from nowadays, man. It's a lot different than it used to be.
Well, I was gonna say, bro, you've been training for like 20 fucking years. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, just like a complete fucking turnaround and shit.
Dude, YouTube wasn't even, we didn't even watch YouTube back in the day. And now the amount of jiu-jitsu that's on there. I have a match from 2007 at the Gracie Open, and I can't even like the video is so grainy from the quality of cameras back then that you can't even tell what the fuck's going on.
So my buddy was telling me, because I have a oh, what the hell's the name of it? I have one of Eddie Bravo's like first kind of 10th Planet books.
Mastering the Rubber Guard.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I got Salos, the Jiu-Jitsu University.
I have that in my lobby over here. That was one of the first books I read when I was in high school.
My buddy told me, he's all, that thing was like the fucking Bible.
Yeah, that thing. And then Kid Pellegrino had a ton of books back in the day that were just incredible. Him and Henzo Gracie would collab on some books, and man, but that Mastering the Rubber Guard back in the day, that I was a white belt. I was 17 years old. All the purple belts, all the higher level blue belts and stuff like that, they were reading that book. I remember them talking about it and talking about Mastering the Rubber Guard. I'm like, what the fuck is the Rubber Guard? You know? And, you know, and then I remember I'm watching a UFC fight, and Eddie Bravo used to do the in between round scoring back then. And I remember watching, they're like Eddie Bravo. And I'm like, oh, that's the Mastering the Rubber Guard guy. So I got on a deep dive, and that's how I got discovered onto Eddie Bravo, probably around 2005. So,
dude,
yeah, he's
crazy.
Yeah, great jujitsu. You know, I take things from the 10th Planet system. I'm not a 10th Planet guy, never trained in 10th Planet, but there's certain things in that system with the lockdown and the truck and things like that that are really, really effective, that I really love in that system.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm a Rubber Guard guy.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, if you got the legs for it, man, and the flexibility for it, it's it'll fuck people's mind up. You start locking them down, and
You get thrown into that shit, and it's fuck. It's tough, man. Just trying
yeah,
to survive. Yeah, and like I said, you get somebody with long legs, you get thrown in them fucking dead orchards and all that
yeah,
bullshit.
yeah.
It's a rough time.
Yeah, those dead orchards are becoming pretty popular, right? There's a guy, at least locally, that has done. I think he's
Yeah,
at like
Chris.
5 of them.
So I know there's this dude named Chris Vickers. Motherfucker got like
Yeah,
80 of them bitches.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Vickers, yeah, he's going up against Will Alexander here coming up on Piranha. I believe it's in April 19th. So that should be a good one. But yeah, there's a kid, Mike Perez, who has done it at least 4 or 5 times in the Jiu Jitsu World League. And he trains with Chris Vickers. He's a part of the 10th Planet system as well. But yeah, it's something. You see those moves happen and you're like, wow, man, these guys have really been working on them and perfecting them, and it's a pleasure to watch. They're getting real good at that stuff.
Who was do you like Boogie? I like Boogie's rubber guard too. Like it's so
Yeah,
crazy how fucking flexible that dude is.
yeah, yeah. It really is. Yeah, Boogeyman is solid, dude, and he actually had some good victories lately. He's been kicking ass in the comp scene. So yeah.
Who watched that PGF?
I watched the previous season. I didn't watch the most recent one, but I'm getting into that one slowly.
Some dude got fucking wristed.
Oh, really?
That's the coolest fucking submission in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah, the wrister, huh?
Get a twister. Nah, I'm just gonna wrist lock the shit out of you, dude. Good stuff, gangster.
Yeah, man. Those wrist locks, dude, they're no joke, dude.
Everywhere there's a hand, there's a wrist.
Yes, there is, man. Like it doesn't matter how strong you are, dude. That you get wrist locked the right way and it's going down.
That's my 250-pound equalizer.
Yeah, man. It's yeah, wrist locks are very effective. Years ago, dude, they were shown a lot more. Nowadays, it seems like a lot of people don't show them as much as they used to. But
I'm a big Pete the Greek guy.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of old school guys. I draw inspiration from, like all over the jiu-jitsu scene. Like I've been a fan of I actually, Crone Gracie, like, his jiu-jitsu on MMA, not so much, but dude, I'm a fan of his jiu-jitsu, like his flexibility, and he's unwavering. Yeah.
So yeah, so the last 2 fights, I'm really glad that I wasn't at my homie's house because I would have been fucking bragging about that dude's jujitsu and shit, and then he fucking goes and pulls that shit, and then yeah,
Yeah.
where was
Yeah.
it? I don't remember who it was from the last one. They were in like a mounted triangle and fucking punching the dude. Well, anyway, I was with some of my normie friends, and are you sure you guys don't want to try jujitsu? Well, that's as gay as it gets, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, man. If you can hold on to a mounted triangle, man, that's not the best place to be, right?
Yeah, it really isn't, man.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's been great talking to you, man. And wrapping this thing up, dude, I just gotta say it's been an absolute honor having you on the show and kind of getting to chat with you a little bit. And dude, you're a fun guy, man. I like talking to you, and I definitely got to make my way up north to come check you out and to train with you guys and see what you guys got to offer. But in wrapping this thing up, I just want to say thank you again for being a part of this. It's been an honor having you on, and I wish you nothing but success in your recovery in your academy. I just like to give the guests just a few minutes to kind of shout out whoever they'd like. Just take a few minutes. If you got sponsors, students, whatever, just take a few minutes. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, man. That's a cool ass experience. Never done anything like that before. Super fun talking to you, bro. Definitely come up and train. I'll try to make my way down there.
Yeah.
Hit you up before I do. Thank you to the Nava family for just even referring or them or me to you.
Yeah.
Is that how you'd say that?
Yeah.
They're fucking awesome people. They're awesome students. I couldn't thank my students enough. Even the city of Corning, for allowing me to do that. My students for just showing up and want to learn from me. Yeah, man. Thanks to my old lady for putting up with my bullshit and helping me do my jiu-jitsu career.
You're right.
Kids for tolerating my fucking crazy ass. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. And thank God for saving me
Yeah.
and showing me what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Definitely there's a reason you're around, brother. And I'm glad that you're here, you're doing what you're doing, you're changing people's lives, you're affecting people in a positive way. And I think that a lot of people can draw inspiration, no matter what happens in life. Things can get you down, right when you think everything's going good, but it's about how you recover from things, and how you bounce back is what truly defines you as a human.
Yeah. Just trying to be as grateful as you can. I mean, we live in a beautiful fucking world.
Yeah, we
Gotta be
do.
grateful.
100%, brother. Well, thank you for being a part of this. Fans, thank you for downloading the podcast each and every week. Check us out each and every week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Also, March 22nd, yours truly will be joining the Arte Suave commentary booth, joining them for their event in Visalia, California. So if you are in the area, come check it out. Come chat at us, and hopefully we get to see you. But other than that, this has been another awesome episode of Grapplers Talk. Clint, thank you very much for being a part of this. We will see you next week. This is Dave, and we are out. Cool, brother. Thank you very much, man, for being a part of this.
Thanks for having me on, dude. It was cool.